Hey, I'm Ed Bolian, and welcome to my house. And these are my cars. It's been a long time since I did a garage update, and there's a whole lot of issues with all of these cars, so I thought it might be a good idea to kind of run you through where they're all at, what they all are, and a couple of them that are on the chopping block. So I've got most of them here, which is a pretty unique thing. We just got the two Mercedes AMG cars out of the Miles Through Time Museum. I talked about that in a recent story. We took them up to a Cannonballers reunion at the Great Marks Concours in Long Island, or on Long Island, or whatever you're supposed to say. But let's start with my Spiker. I bought this about 2 months ago from Missy Elliott. It's a 2009 C8 Laviolette. It's only got about 2,500 miles on it, and it's almost never been serviced. So tomorrow, in fact, it's going into a Spiker expert, and they're going to go through, change every fluid. We're going to put new tires on. These are about 18 years old, but the car is really, really cool. When you think about a car that's got center lock wheels, a functional roof scoop, louvered fenders, an exposed manual gear linkage, all the aircraft design components, everything about the car, a big naturally aspirated V8, makes it so very special. So I've really enjoyed driving it. I think I put about 100 miles on it so far. It seems to be in really good shape. There's a little bit of a crack in the roof, which seems to happen to most of them. There's a lot of flex in the chassis. But overall, the car is as near perfect as a 2009 vehicle could be. Now, this car is also quite perfect for something of similar vintage. It's my 2010 LP670 SV, and I have recently modified it. Now, I am not normally one to modify cars, but I've enjoyed driving the car so much, I ended up not selling it as part of the Bugatti deal that I mentioned previously on the channel, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But let me show you what I've done to it to make it so much better, and they should have done this from the factory. I took the seat out of it, and that way, even though it's a little harder to get into, I can sit in it totally comfortably. All 6.5 feet of me is not even touching the ceiling. The steering wheel is in a great location. The visibility is not quite as good when you're not sitting up here, but I have to say it has transformed my love of the car. Now, in my Verde Draco car, it's got 49,000 miles, and so the seat's kind of worn down in it. I fit in it pretty well, but with the carbon fiber buckets in this thing, I just didn't fit at all. And so I think I'm going to devise some kind of a cushion and things for the firewall. It's a little squeaky, as you might hear, but overall, massively improved my modified car. This one's got about 8,500 miles on it. No issues at all after the accident. It is still a rebuilt title, does still have the Euro bumpers and things like that, but very, very happy with that car. Next is my 2017 Audi R8 V10 Plus. This is the car that I used for Car Trek 9. That should air sometime late October, early November on Freddie's channel. And I also used it on Gold Rush. You'll see all of our sponsors and things like that. An amazing car. I've talked about how that's probably the best first or only supercar if you wanted something that can just do everything really, really well. That being said, I don't find myself driving it all that much. So it's currently for sale on Auto Tempest, so please check that out. I'll put a link to the ad in the description below. It's everything you could ever ask for. It's got just over 60,000 miles. We've put in a full radar laser system from Redenzo. I've got the Uniden police scanner plumbed into the Bang & Olufsen speakers, so you just turn the car on and you hear cops, which is amazing. But again, I'd rather be driving my Mercies, especially this one. This is my 2009 manual transmission LP640 Roadster. Now, there's only 44 US SVs, there's 22 manual LP640 coupes in the US, and there's only 10 manual Roadsters. One of them sold last year for well over $1 million. Another one's about to sell. I have the worst one, which is what I always want. This is a car that was spray painted, damaged, modified badly, not like my SV. And so I had to fix a lot of stuff. Right now, the paint is still terrible underneath a matte black wrap. I went through it, and this was the best way to sort of just make it like Cars and Coffee presentable. I put the gloss parts back the way they were supposed to be, new gloss wheels. I am having trouble with tires. Mercy tires are currently out of production. You cannot get them, and so one of the tires is like 15 years old. I've got another partial set that we took off because we were supposed to film Car Trek 5 at the NASA runway, but regardless, the car drives great. It's got an airbag light on, TPMS doesn't work, a handful of things, but overall, it is wonderful. Now, I know the clutch is fairly close. It's going to be due for a valve adjustment. So there's a lot of things to plan to do. But honestly, right now, I'm just enjoying the car because you can hop in it and drive it anywhere. And I can sit up straight. Now, when that happens, I am staring straight at the top of the windscreen frame, which is a little bit difficult. But I have to say, out of the three Murcies, this one right now is my favorite. This, of course, is the Verde Draco 2007 LP640 Coupe. I've owned this car, I think, since 2018, and it is, I think, a forever car. That being said, I had agreed to sell it as part of the Bugatti deal. That was going to essentially require the Spiker, the SV, the R8, and this to go. For a carbon super sport, it felt worth it to me, but it's hard to not be that upset that the transaction didn't happen. I love these things, even though it's hard to drive them all at the same time, but I'm sure at some point a Bugatti will work. Now this car, I think I only drove it about 300 miles in the last year. It's got a couple of air conditioning issues. The clutch is just about gone. I don't know how many miles were on it before I got it. I put about, I don't know, 12 or 13,000 on it since then. So it was probably the second or third clutch, but it's spent, it needs the valve adjustment done, it occasionally misfires, and so, you know, after really not having many issues with the car, I'm probably looking at another 25 to 30 grand to make that car perfect. I'm in no huge hurry right now. You can just hop in it and go. The only issue is the brake light switch is broken, just like the one just happened in Hoovie's car. That's happened to a lot of them. It happened to the SV, so it's one of those Murci issues that happens, and so the brake lights stay on, and it'll kill the battery if you don't turn it off. So it's off right now, but still, one of my favorite cars, and you can't go wrong with a manual 640. There's really none of them that you could buy anymore for under $1 million. I don't think mine's worth $1 million. It wasn't in the deal that we had worked out, but regardless, you got to keep that one. I think I would like to paint that one orange when we do get around to painting the car. It just, matte black is so difficult to maintain, so difficult to work with. I don't know. It's not really me. Now, what is me is orange, and these two orange Cayennes are part of a long-term project that I've been working on with one of our sponsors, Sway. Sway is an outfitting brand based in Montana that they make some amazing clothes, and they work on some amazing engineering projects internally, and they support some externally. So our goal has been to build the ultimate Cayenne. Back in Car Trek 6, we took a 2008 Cayenne S and did some very similar livery to it. We painted it RS orange, we put the decals on, the front bumper bar, the roof rack, wheels, tires, suspension, things like that, and I loved it. The only thing I didn't love is that it was very, very slow. So we've fixed that with these 2015 Cayenne turbos, and there's actually two more of them that are not here. So over the next year, 2 years, we're going to continue kind of iterating through. It's been a whole lot of fun. They make the perfect daily drivers, and I just think they're the coolest thing you can drive that isn't a Murci, pretty much. And so there's 23, 24. You can see we're experimenting with some different lights, wheels, tires, things like that. We're going to improve those at some point. But regardless, they make for a great family hauler. But our family hauler for the last few years has been my 2014 GL63. It's filthy inside and out. My wife drives it all the time. It's got a little over 100,000 miles. To be quite honest, we've tried to upgrade or think of what might be next, but I don't like the newer ones all that much better. And with the way that used car values are these days, the pricing is just nuts. And so we love the thing. It never lets us down. We had most of the plastic coolant pipes and things like that dealt with. And so it's really ready to rock. I think we're waiting on motor mounts. They were on back order. But other than that, it's just an aging AMG car. And speaking of aging AMG cars, we've got these two here. They haven't been at the house for a very, very long time. They've been in the museum for about 4 years now. But this is my S55 from the 2904 in 2015. And of course, the CL55 that we set the Cannonball record with back in 2013. So 28 hours, 50 minutes, 32 hours, 5 minutes. The fastest time ever in a competitive event from New York to LA still. And from 2013 to 2019, the fastest time from New York to Los Angeles. Now, we had to go through both of the cars, but it really wasn't that bad. Again, I talked about that in a recent video. Cameron Davis of DC Motor Works went through both cars, and for less than $2,000, he made them pretty much dependable. We drove them 2,000 miles round trip, and they never let us down. I think they got this one up over 150 miles an hour. I wasn't that bold in the CL, to be quite honest, but there's nothing better for a long distance trip than a big Luxo barge Mercedes. All the countermeasures, the gadgets and things like that are still in each of the cars, and I still love having them. I don't feel the need to drive them all that much, so I'm very happy for them to live in the museum for more and more people to get them. We actually may rotate them around to different museums at some point, but regardless, they're part of the collection. And there are 3 other cars that are not here right now. Of course, I mentioned there's 2 of them are similar Cayennes to those with different mods and different things. And the other is a 6-wheeled Range Rover. I've got a 1976, kind of a 1989 6-wheel, 4-wheel driven Range Rover that we just used for Car Trek 10. That's going to be our Christmas special. And that's another one that we're kind of done with. I had my fun with it, and I think it's also going to be listed on Auto Tempest fairly soon. So be sure to check for that. But other than that, that's pretty much where we're at. I mean, certainly if you were to total up all the things that need to be done to all the cars to make them perfect, it's well over $100,000. But I could hop in any of them right now and drive wherever I want, which means that they don't need any of it at all. So I'm very happy with them. I never expected to own this many cars. Thank you all for watching, which is what makes all of this possible. And thank you especially to Premier Financial Services for making the buying of so many of these cars possible. I have, I don't know. It's far too many of them. It's got way out of hand. So I need to sell some of them. If you see something you really like, make me a really good offer. Don't be too terribly shrewd, and you might end up owning one. Or you might not. I love them all. Thank you all so much. Have a great night. Premier Financial Services makes it easier and more affordable than you could possibly imagine to own your dream car. Their Simple Lease is one of the most powerful tools in the world of exotic car financing. You get all the benefits like the tax savings and the low payments of a lease with all the additional benefits that you normally find in a traditional finance arrangement. You can build up equity, you can pay it off early, you can trade in and out of cars because you get a very clear and easy to understand amortization table to understand what your payoff will be any month throughout your term. And all the while, the amazing team from Premier Financial Services will be right there to help you along the way. They've been supporters of the VINwiki channel now for 5 years in a row, so we can't thank them enough for that, but mostly we're thankful for the fact that they can help you make it easier than ever to own your dream car. Check them out now.